Good morning. As I sit here this morning, I've never done a live. Excuse my eyes, I've been crying. As I was awakened this morning at about 3:30 with the noise of crying, it was my autistic grandson, and he was sobbing. I asked him, "What's wrong, Josiah?" He said, "I'd like to retire autism because I'm tired of people mistreating me." I'm going to try to get through this without crying. So, I am Josiah's advocate, have been since he was diagnosed with autism around the age of 3. He is now 11. He has been abused in the public school system, in the private school system, and by family members. However, this message is about the treatment that he experienced with Spirit Airlines and DAS, which is their contracted wheelchair service. On June 25th, we traveled to Fort Lauderdale for Josiah's 11th birthday celebration. Upon arriving in Fort Lauderdale, Josiah has wheelchair assistance because of the noise and the crowd. So the wheelchair assistance, we go through TSA very quickly without any problems until June 25th of this year. We travel Spirit Airlines. I would have never bought a Spirit airline ticket. His mom purchased the tickets for everyone. Spirit's reputation precedes them as being a terrible airline, to say the least. And so they proved such to me on June 25th. When we deboarded the plane, as we usually do, there are wheelchairs lined up for those of us that need wheelchair assistance. I am one of those persons that need wheelchair assistance. I am a retired firefighter and a retired dean of discipline that was injured twice and had to have back surgery. After that, I worked with special education for about 10 years, and then I went on to Johns Hopkins through the Police Executive Leadership Program and received my BS in Management and Leadership. I had been Josiah's advocate for a few years at this time, and I continue to advocate for him. Let's fast forward back to Spirit. As we deboarded the plane, Josiah sat in one of the wheelchairs. His family, there were 8 of us traveling. They got off the plane first. His mother was after him. She took the wheelchair and she pushed him up to the top of where the gate was. When she got there, the wheelchair assistance person came over to her and Josiah and very nastily told him, "Get up out of the wheelchair. We do not take children in wheelchairs. Get up out of the wheelchair." His mother told her several times, the wheelchair is for him. It is on his boarding pass. He needs the wheelchair. The wheelchair assistance is for him. As she's speaking, she tells him, "Get the hell out of the wheelchair." At which point, I walked up to where they were, and I told her, "Do not raise your voice at my grandchild again. The wheelchair is for him. You've been told several times. I don't want to have to dial 911. We're going to leave it at that. Leave him alone." She says, he needs to get out of this wheelchair. There is nothing wrong with him. He doesn't look like anything is wrong with him, and he needs to get up. The person at the gate heard what was going on, I assume. She kind of peeped her head in, and said, he needs to get out of that wheelchair. What's wrong with him? He doesn't look like anything is wrong with him. I once again told them to check his boarding pass as Josiah began to get upset. We tried to keep Josiah calm, and I rolled him out to where the gate, where you sit at the gate. I asked for a supervisor, and I saw the police officer. I motioned for them, but they were busy, so I decided to wait for the police. A supervisor did come up, and another person with wheelchairs. I sat in my wheelchair. Josiah sat directly behind me. The supervisor came up from Spirit. I told them what was going on, and they said, we don't take children in wheelchairs. I said, it's on its boarding pass. We travel a lot. We just got back from LA in March. He has wheelchair assistance each and every time. We have never had a problem. Now, we usually fly Southwest or Delta, so I was expecting the worst from Spirit, but didn't realize it would be this bad. So the wheelchair guy that was helping, he took my suitcase, which they usually do, and they sit it on the part of the wheelchair that your feet sit on, and they stick it between your legs so you can hold on to it as they push you in the wheelchair. He took my suitcase because he was angry that we knew what we were talking about and what we were advocating for the ADA. They were violating it. He took it and slammed it into my wrist and into my right hip, and causing injury, which I am in therapy for now. But at that time, he starts to push me away in the wheelchair, leaving my 11-year-old grandson unattended because my other family members had gone to baggage claim to get their luggage to make sure no one else took their luggage or anything. I asked him repeatedly to stop. He was leaving my grandson alone at a gate, unattended, a minor. I was told, either you want to get to baggage claim or not. I can only push one person at a time. I will come back and get him. I stopped the wheelchair, made him go back. We went back. I asked the supervisor, who was still standing next to my grandson, would you leave your unattended minor child at an airport with strangers, sitting alone, while someone wheeled you off to baggage and said they would come back and get your child? The Spirit supervisor's response was, I don't wish to reply. At this point, another wheelchair assistance person showed up and said, we absolutely carry children, not infants. And then another gentleman by the name of Whistlet, who was very nice, started to push my grandson. And the guy, Jacqueline, I believe his name was, started to push me. As we started to go, he was many feet ahead of us. And I asked him to stop so that my grandson could be in eyesight. He refused to stop. Once again, I had to stop the wheelchair until the other gentleman with my grandson caught up. Once he caught up with us, we went on, got to baggage claim, met our family. I asked for their names. Whistlet's name was very visible. The gentleman that was nasty, that was pushing me, walked off. At that point, I asked Josiah's grandmother to go and get his name. She went over to him. He refused. He tried to cover his name tag. He tried to turn so she couldn't see him. At that point, my 18-year-old grandson and his best friend got up because they thought their mom was being disrespected and walked over. and tried to get his name. And I can't say that he ran off, but he walked off so quickly so they couldn't catch him. And I'm assuming he got on an elevator and left, refusing to give his name. I had started voice recording at that time. So I have voice recorded the conversation that the the person pushing myself and the person pushing my grandson. I voice recorded it. So there was a person at ground transportation, 3 of them. They all saw what was going on. One of the gentlemen came over and offered to walk me over to Spirit so that I could get a supervisor. Because he noticed my wrist was swollen from them slamming it and I had a little limp, he decided he would go and grab the Spirit supervisor himself. He came back with the Spirit supervisor and the DAS supervisor. They took my information, we got in our Uber, and we left. I have not heard directly from anyone from Spirit except for in an email that did not speak about any of our complaints. I have not heard from Spirit. They have not called me to reach out at all. I have had to file complaints with DOT, with the Fort Lauderdale ADA, with the BWI ADA, with Spirit Airline, and I also filed a complaint with the CEO, Ted Christie, who has yet to get back with me also, either by email, by text, nor by phone. He has refused to speak out. I have called attorneys because I have to have one that is in the Fort Lauderdale area. I've also called the news stations there, and they are reaching out to Spirit for a comment, and then they are going to reach back out to me. It is so disheartening to hear my grandson cry the way he did. And we were supposed to go to Puerto Rico in August, and he says he doesn't want to go. He doesn't want to fly anymore. He just wants to take a road trip. He's tired of being mistreated. I was awakened, as I said, at 3:30 this morning by his sobbing tears because he said he is tired of being mistreated and wants to retire autism. It breaks my heart. Anyone that has a child on the spectrum with any type of special needs, please do not travel Spirit. Do not put your child through what my grandchild has had to go through. This has been a terrible experience. It has been a lot of paperwork, a lot of phone calls, a lot of hugs, a lot of reassurance that he means something, he is someone, and that autism does not make him a bad person, and people shouldn't treat him that way. I don't know what else to do to help him. We are putting him back in therapy for PTSD, but it is heartbreaking that people would speak to a child that way and in front of their parents. Imagine how many other people have been treated this way that don't know their ADA rights, that don't know you're not supposed to ask a person what their disability is. How many children are crying in silence because of the mistreatment, because they're autistic? How many of them can't speak and can't tell me what Josiah was able to tell me, that he's tired of being mistreated and he wants to retire autism? To all of the celebrities, non-celebrities that have children with autism, I'm reaching out. This is ridiculous, and I'm reaching out. I'm reaching out to Sylvester Stallone, John Travolta, Kelly Preston, Gary Cole, Rosie O'Donnell, Sean Stockman, Tony Braxton, Fat Joe, Holly Robinson Pete, Dan Marino, Doug Flutie, Tisha Campbell Martin, Dwayne Martin, Faith Evans, Sherry Shepard, Christine McGinnis, Tommy Hilfiger, Jenny McCarthy, Joey Fatone, Jacqueline Larita, Leis Ribeiro, Robert De Niro, Brendan Frazier, Jenny Farley, Stephen Stills, Aiden Quinn, Devon Williams, D.L. Hughley. Stand with me with this. This is heartbreaking that a child was treated this way by Spirit Airline and their contracted wheelchair, DAS. Please stand with me as we ban special needs children flying on Spirit Airline. They violate every ADA law that there is. Thank you so much for your time.